Hello again, blokes. You're here with me, Dave, on NZBlokes.co.nz, and this is Game of the Week. If I'm honest, this game doesn't really need an introduction at all, because it's Halo 5. If you're an Xbox gamer, or ever have been, then there's a good chance that you've already seen at least one of the many Halo titles that have been released over the years. It's been synonymous with the success of the Microsoft consoles, and is widely regarded as their crown jewels franchise. That being said, Halo 5 represents the first title in this long-running series which has been designed exclusively for use with the Xbox One. 343 Industries and Microsoft Studios have gone to great lengths to make sure that this looks like the best Halo title ever released for the console. For the first time since Halo 2, there are not one but two main campaign storylines. A major difference is that this time around, you control either the new Spartan 4 outfitted Fireteam Osiris led by Jameson Locke, or the more familiar Blue Team, led by the series' main protagonist, Master Chief Petty Officer John 117. These two intertwining plot lines form the basis of the second chapter in Halo's new trilogy, picking up after the awakening of the Forerunners and the conclusion of Halo 4's storyline. For those people out there expecting this to be a continuation of John 117's main storyline, you're in for a bit of a rude awakening. This one is mainly about Jameson Locke and Fireteam Osiris, but as you'll see when you play through the game, that is no bad thing. For a start, the cinematic cutscenes in this game are outstanding. They convey a sense of grandeur and an almost bottomless pit of money that has been very well utilised in order to deliver an experience that is very compelling and easily the equal of any number of Hollywood blockbusters. Once you're done gawking at the respective intros, you're thrust right into the thick of things in your opening missions. Both storylines open with a bang. Immediately you can feel the changes that have been made to the controls with this game. Everything feels a little heavier, a little slower, and a little more purposeful than in previous titles. Every single weapon has a look down sights mode, and you're now pretty much permanently equipped with a jetpack. I actually welcome these differences. To me, it feels like a true update to the game. It is a tricky path to walk when you're trying to introduce modern control methods into a franchise as revered as Halo. I think that 343 have done a pretty good job in this respect. Other things that I noticed off the bat were the music and sound effects, particularly the UNSC weapons. They sound much beefier, battle rifles and assault rifles particularly. Speech and ambient conversation from the enemy factions has been refreshed and everything is now in English. It's done quite nicely actually. Now, music was always one of the strong points of the Halo games, and this is no deviation from that posture. Again, there's a lot of new music in there, particularly on the Osiris missions, but you'll still hear plenty of familiar riffs from the past. Throughout the campaign, you'll come across all the little collectibles that have slowly worked their way into the series over the years. These well-hidden artifacts do a good job of fleshing out some of the finer points of the levels, and they'll ensure a fairly good level of replayability for the games over a few years. All of the above being said, it is still a difficult thing to describe Halo to people joining the series for the first time. It carries with it all of the lore and baggage that has been built out since the original. This is actually a bit of a problem when you're trying to set up the first entry in a franchise to users who may be entering the game new. With the release of the Master Chief Collection about a year ago, this issue is a little bit reduced, but still present in this title. There's a disconnect between the two storylines which is hard to overlook, as well as a couple of missions in there that don't really do much but force you to move between waypoints in order to receive instructions. Also, if you're not really familiar with the Halo universe and its associated lore, you might actually have a hard time making sense of this game's single player plot. Halo 4 was a triumph in my opinion, because it was so focused on the relationship between the Chief and Cortana. The rest of the game, grand as it was almost a bit part to watching that relationship play out. Halo 5 doesn't have such a luxury at its disposal, and it is unfortunately a little worse off for it. Once you've worked your way through the storyline, either by yourself or with friends thanks to the persistent 4-player fireteam approach, multiplayer beckons. Some would argue that Halo's only true purpose is to put a bit of a framework around its multiplayer modes. I'm not one of those guys, but there is no denying that the multiplayer is a lot of fun. Heaps of game modes, extended teams in some modes, and the addition of requisition packs are all welcome additions to the game. Requisition packs are the game's answer to microtransactions. They are packs containing a mix of cosmetic items and a few permanent unlocks, which can be fully unlocked with either rec points earned in the multiplayer game or by spending real money, similar to Battlefield 4's battle packs. This gamification of the multiplayer will probably put some pretty good hooks into the player base. That, along with dedicated server support, meaning no more host advantages, should ensure that a solid base of players remains on this game for a good while to come. For me, this game has a solid, but confusing, disconnected, and ever so slightly disappointing storyline, coupled with an awesome multiplayer, cooperative, and competitive element which adds up to a game that you really should put into your Xbox One collection. But if you want to get the most out of this story, you really will need to do a lot of reading into the extended Halo universe. For me, this gets a respectable 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for listening, blokes. This was Dave. What's up everyone, Dave here. If you like our reviews or think we could improve them, don't forget to like, comment, favorite and subscribe to NZBlokes to get all the videos as they hit the big, bad interwebs.